Pranam everyone. Namaste. Hari Om. Welcome back. Yes. Yeah. Hari Om. Okay, we will start. सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः So we are seeing Atma Bodha. We'll chant a few verses first. 7 to 13 we'll chant. तावत् सत्यं जगत् भाति शुक्तिकारजतं यथा यावन्न ज्ञायते ब्रह्मा सर्वाधिष्ठानमद्वयम् उपादानेऽखिलाधारे जगन्ति परमेश्वरे सर्गस्थितिलयान् यान्ति बुद्बुदानीव वारिणि सच्चिदात्मन्यनुस्यूते नित्ये विष्णौ प्रकल्पिताः व्यक्तयो विविधाः सर्वाः हाटके कटकादिवत् यथाकाशो ऋषिकेशो नानोपाधिगतो विभुः तद्भेदाद्भिन्नवद् भाति तन्नाशे केवलो भवेत् नानोपाधिवशादेव जातिवर्णाश्रमादयः आत्मन्यारोपितास्तो ये रसवर्णादिभेदवत् पञ्चीकृतमहाभूत सम्भवं कर्म सञ्चितम् शरीरं सुखदुःखानां भोगायतनमुच्यते पञ्च प्राणमनो बुद्धि देशेन्द्रियसमन्वितम् अपञ्चीकृतभूतोत्थं सूक्ष्माङ्गं भोगसाधनम् अनाद्यविद्या निर्वाच्या कारणोपाधिरुच्यते उपाधित्रितयादन्यम् आत्मानमवधारयेत्. So we are seeing the Sthula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, and Karana Sharir that has come into evolution because of a process. What is this process? Vedanta says there is only one, and that is Brahman. There is nothing other than that. That alone is. But we experience a world of plurality. We do not know what Brahman is. We do not. Okay, let's put it this way. What makes it worse is Shastra says you cannot know. You cannot know it like you know the world. That makes it even more difficult to accept that the world alone is. So there is a constant nudge in the mind of thinkers, whether they are Shastric students or they are just regular from the world, all of us experiencing the world, but thinking, where has all this come from? What I experience in the world, what is its base? What is its foundation? What is its origin? What is the origin of the world? To answer this, Shastra gives us a proposition to quieten our minds. It is fundamentally to quieten our thinking minds, because the purpose is not to know where the creation has come from or how all this is origined. The purpose is, now that I am here and I experience a world, is there something which frees me from a sense of limitation that I feel now? I'll repeat this. The purpose of thinking, if it is only to know where the world has come from, then it ends at that, even if you get to know. But Shastra says your question should be, now that I am here and I experience a world, is there a possibility that I become freed of a sense of limitation that I experience now? And that sense of limitation can have different words. Some may call it unhappiness, some may call it wanting more happiness. Each one can have their own subjective, descriptive experience, how they call it. But the fact is, everyone is looking for something more. Whether you're looking for more money, more power, more happiness, more peace, more out of an existing relationship, even if it is very, very good relationship, even then, or more, if you have enough money to survive 2 generations, even then. So that constant sense of incompleteness that we find ourselves without having worked for it, वो रहता है अपने आप ही अंदर रंग बदल बदल के, लाइक अ कैमिलियन, रंग बदल बदल के अपना वो एक्सप्रेस करता ही रहता है किसी भाव से, कोई ना कोई भाव के साथ. So what is that? So Shastra gives us this proposition that we are covering in the 12th verse now. in which it says, hmm, since I have this, okay, wait. 12th verse, Panchikrit Mahabhuta Sambhavam. This gross body, आत्मबोध starts with the gross body. ये जो आपका स्थूल शरीर है, with this form, this is formed because of the subtle elements, महाभूत, पंच महाभूत, उनका एक पंचीकरणम हुआ है. A process of evolution that the Shastra has brought out. That process with which the elements have divided themselves and then merged themselves. Exactly as you have in your amoebiosis and a lot of cellular processes that you find. Very recently, there is an article, if someone has seen, they showed magnified one cell of a human being. I don't know which part of the cell it was. I just saw the picture. It had a whole creation in it. And they're amazed, and then they colored it by some imaging process. One would think a cell which you can't even see with your eye. One cell which you can't even see with your eye. आपको तो पूरी त्वचा दिखती है, अपना शरीर दिखता है, आपको एक अपना सेल नहीं दिखता. But it is those cells that have made this body. Whether they are cells of the skin, whether they are cells in your eyes, etc., etc. But it is those cells that have come together and it is giving you this form. Each cell within itself is a complete expression of universe. Universes, perhaps. It's an amazing image. Now, they divide and they come together. While science is still bringing the whole details out, Shastra says this in 2 words. Panchikaranam, Mahabhutam. The Mahabhut, the 5 elements, undergo a process of splitting themselves and merging again. Self-splitting and self-merging, that is what is giving you this body. Is that all that is a factor to this body that we have? No. Karma sanchitam. Based on your sanchit karmas. The panchikaranam process, on one hand, we think the world is common to all of us. If this is the process of evolution, then all of us should have the same bodies. But there are variations to each one of us. That variation has come from karma sanchitam, by our own past acquired punya and papa karma. Based on that, to experience our own karma phala, shariram sukha dukkhanam bhoga ayatanam uchyate. This body is, okay, let's put it this way, to experience the pleasures and pains that we have accumulated because of our past punya and papa collected. The panchikaranam that has formed to give us this gross body, that is sharira, sthula sharira. Now, I think there was some sort of a incompleteness about the panchikaranam process, though we have touched in great details in our Tattva Bodha class, but for the sake of complete revision, I think some people wanted it. I am covering it from the beginning. In Tattva Bodha, it starts with Atha Chatur Vimshati Tattva Utpatti Prakaram Vakshyamaha. I am going to tell, the author says, this is also ascribed to Adi Shankaracharya, though there is a debate if this is the Adi Shankaracharya or is it one of the Shankaracharyas from the lineage of the Shankaracharyas, because the style is a little different from what Adi Shankaracharya usually writes in his his method of writing and the style of writing is different, but doesn't matter. It is a useful text. Here he says, I will now explain the 24 evolutes that have emerged, what we call as the creation. What are those 24 evolutes? Factors, your 5 gross elements, 5 karmendriyas, 5 gyanendriyas, 5 pranas, and mano, buddhi, chit, ahankar, 4. कितने हो गए? 24 हो गए? हो गए ना? 5, 10, 15 हो गए. 24 हो गए. These are the 24 which constitutes us. He says, I will now explain this to you. What is that? He starts first fundamentally. As I said, in Tattva Bodh, it starts from top to bottom. In Atma Bodh, we saw he's going from gross to subtle. But Tattva Bodh, subtle to gross. And doesn't matter either way. It's the same process. What is the subtlest? We said, we started the class by Brahmam Ekameva Advityam. Brahman alone is. The whole point is to explain creation and our own existence. Who am I? Where am I come from? What am I doing here? मुझे करना क्या चाहिए? मेरी जिंदगी जितनी है उतनी ऐसी क्यों है? मुझे सुख दुख जो मिले हैं वो क्यों है? मेरा स्वभाव ऐसा है तो क्यों है? मेरे साथ जो लोग ये सब हैं, ये जिस एनवायरमेंट में मैं हूँ वो एनवायरमेंट में ही मैं particularly क्यों हूँ? Because even siblings from the same family don't experience the same environment in the world. So this variations to explain that Brahma Ashraya. There is only one Brahman. वही आश्रय है. किसका? माया का. Maya is the hypothetical imposition Shastra gives us for Adhyayana. Just as I have said oftentimes, in mathematics, when you are solving an equation and you say x is equal to this, you start first by a certain factor and then you derive the whole theorem, and then at the end it is x is equal to this, then it is correct. The x dissolves itself into that. That x is the Maya. Maya is the Katakadan powder. Let's take it this way. It is imposed. शास्त्र ने दिया है हमको ये शब्द. उन्होंने कहा है आपको अगर एवोल्यूशन समझना है, आपको अगर क्रिएशन समझना है, आपको अगर अपना एग्जिस्टेंस समझना है, तो you cannot know this without first bringing in another factor called Maya. Bring in Maya. Maya is what? Maya is Brahman Ashrit. ब्रह्मन की ही आश्रय में that which is not is Maya. Maya, जो नहीं है. By very name itself, it's Maya. That which is not. Maya, nahi hai. But you have to bring it in your completeness of equation. To complete the equation. You bring in Maya. What is the advantage of this? Now you have Brahman plus Maya. Brahman plus Maya. What is the advantage of Brahman plus Maya? Now starts the detailing. This Maya is Trigunatmik. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So far, we are all okay? Okay, great. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, I think we all know. There's nobody new here, so we will skip this. Now, from this Maya, Brahman plus Maya, Tataha, Akashaha Sambhutaha. The first element, Brahman plus Maya, the first element that emerges from this, it's almost like saying when the seed, unseasonal sowing of a seed, you don't see anything above the ground. You don't see the seed below the ground also, but there is a seed. When the season comes and the very first sprout emerges, I don't know how joyful it is to see. Now, that first sprout that emerged, that little thing that came out, that little thing gave you what all knowledge? That there was a seed below, and that seed was not inert. That seed had life in it, had prana in it. And when the conditions are ripened, the seed is beginning to mature itself, evolve itself. It goes through the process of evolution. So it starts to sprout itself. Now, it's a Brahman alone is the starting point. They have to say, thought, let me be two. Let me become two. So with its own Maya Shakti, the process of evolution begins. What comes out is the first subtle Akash, subtle space. Space is a very incomplete word for Akash. Akash in itself is a complete explanation. Tataha Akashaha Sambhutaha. From Brahman plus Maya comes the subtle Akash. Akashat Vayuhu. From Akash comes Vayu. Subtle Vayu. We are doing the Pancha Mahabhut, the subtle evolutes. Vaya Tejaha. From Vayu comes Tej, fire. From fire comes Apaha, water. And from water comes Prithvi, earth. This is explained diagrammatically, supposing, just with the help to understand. I don't know where to put this. Brahman, Maya. Maya is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Brahman, even through the process of evolution, remains available as Adhishtan, Brahman. The white arrow, niche, this entire white arrow says it's the substratum. इसके बिना तो कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा. ये माया कहाँ है? ये कोई बाहर नहीं आ गई, like we are seeing separated, like amoeba is now two separate amoebas. It's not like that. The process of splitting is happening within Brahman. Brahman remains the Adhishtan. Maya has not come out of Brahman somewhere else. Maya is not another entity. So it doesn't have a split as this is Brahman and this is Maya. No. Brahman keeps remaining unaffected, untouched, undivided throughout, whereas the Maya part is what is now beginning to take the change. It is in Maya that the evolution is happening. The changes are happening. This Maya, made up of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, space, from space comes air, from air comes fire, water, earth, and that makes the Sukshma Pancha Mahabhut. Okay so far? Anybody? All good. Okay, good. Yeah, okay. Right? So now, next comes Esham Panchatattvanam. From all these five subtle elements, the sattvic guna of each of them, if you know, noticed, all of Maya has sattva, rajas, tamas. So subtle space has subtle sattva, subtle rajas, subtle tamas. Air has subtle sattva, subtle rajas, subtle tamas. Yeah, correct, Neha? Okay. So all of them have the sattvic amsha, the rajasic amsha, the tamasic amsha that continues through all the Panch Mahabhut. उसी से बना है वो, कहाँ जाएगा? Right? So what happens? From the Akash ka sattvic amsha comes the Shrotra Indriya. From the subtle space, its sattvic element evolves into your Shrotra Indriya, your sense of hearing. It's an Indriya, it's not an organ. We have not yet come to Sthula Sharir. It is an indriya. Indriya is sukshma. From that comes your sukshma sense of hearing, indriya. From vayu, its sattvic element, comes tvak indriya. From agni, sattvic element, comes chakshu indriya, eyes. Tvak is skin, eyes. Jalasya, sattvic amshat, rasanendriya. From jal comes your rasana, your sense of taste. Prithvi sattvic amshat granindriya sambhutaha, your sense of smell. This comes from the sattvic element as shown in this diagram. So Brahman is Maya. Maya has sattva, rajas, tamas. From sattva of space, space sattva comes ear, sense of hearing. Somewhere it was that. I don't know where the slide went away. From space comes air, sense of touch, etc. Clear so far? Yeah, I think clear. You know? Yeah, okay. Now what happens? Sense of hearing came from the sattvic element of Akash, space. And what is its object? What does that sense of hearing do? Hears. Hears what? Sound. And sound travels in space. So how the macrocosm is beginning to connect to the microcosm. Samashti or Vyashti mein, we see a division, but we are of the same evolution. We are not separated from this part. Samashti is the totality. Vyashti is this individual. So what you are hearing as sound is possible for you to get the experience of hearing. Hear the words properly. For you to have the experience of hearing, this whole process of evolution has emerged. Now, supposing I say, oh, who do I see? Okay, I'm seeing Shalini Vadera, most nodding. So, here, Shalini, you are such an amazing student, so dedicated, so fine a human being, so wonderful mother and wife, and you are such an asset to society. When I'm saying all these words, you are hearing them. What is the response that generates within you? What is the sensation that it gives you? Pleasure?
Joy.
Enjoy? Joy? It becomes bhoga ayatanam for anandam. Your own acquired past punyam gives you an experience of pleasure. Now, supposing not anybody over here, but to my own self, okay? I'm saying, what an idiot you are, Diti. कुछ नहीं समझती है. तेरे जैसी तो XYZ कोई नहीं हो सकता. You are such a fool. You are so stupid. You are such a crazy, non-dedicated. What else can I call myself? Everything that is not to be spoken. Baki samajh jao. Now, if someone else tells me all this, I hate you. Someone tells you, your ears here, I hate you. I dislike you like anything. And you give me creeps. Your presence gives me creeps. I don't want to be around you. Get out of my life. Get away. If I'm hearing all that, what is the experience I'm getting? Pain? Unhappiness? Nobody likes all this? That experience has come to me. Because of what? My own past acquired certain unpleasant sanchita karmas. My own acquired sanchit karmas has given me this organized world around me where my ears have heard certain things that have not brought me happiness. They naturally evoke an unpleasant sensation. Bhog ayatanam. To experience bhog. Bhog doesn't just mean enjoyment. Bhog means experience. To experience the world of objects. Is this shariram evolved based on our own past karmas? Combination of punya and pap. Now, what does air do? Now, as it was evolving, from space came air. So the element of space, the subtle elements we are still talking about, that element, subtle element into air, now you have the sense of touch, skin, and you can hear the air when there is a storm. जब हवा बहुत तेज चलती है, आप कमरों में बंद हो, मगर आपको फिर भी ध्वनि आती है कि बाहर क्या हो रहा है, बाहर आंधी आई है. Your skin is not touching, you're in the house. You are traveling in a car, but you can still hear that बाहर आंधी आ रही है. You can hear. The sound carries forward, but what has now added to evolution is the touch. You can also experience the heat and cold of the air. You can experience the dryness of the air. So you can have different experience added. Then air came fire. Now, air you can't see. दिखता नहीं है. सिर्फ सुन सकते हो. One इंद्रिय, कान. Another इंद्रिय, skin. Feel कर सकते हो. There is no other indriya to contact air. But fire, the minute fire comes, now you have a third indriya, eyes. Eyes can now see the form. Fire can be seen. Fire burns, it is touched. And fire can be heard, the crackling sound. When you go on a camp on a dark night where you can see the entire Milky Way and you have these campfire over there and then those, it's a beautiful sound of the wood crackling itself. The fire crackles and you can hear fire. You can hear, and now you are experiencing fire at 3 indriyas. Further evolves, and now the sattvic amsha of water, which gave us the rasa indriya, you can hear the river, you can touch the river, you can see the form of the river, you can even taste it now. Fire, can you taste? You jal jayenge. The fire, if you try to taste, it will be the touch, and the touch will burn, but you won't get the taste of fire. The heat, जब हम बहुत कुछ गर्म खाते हैं, जब गर्म पानी पीते हैं, that garam of the pani, the garmahat in the pani, that has come from the fire element, you can experience the garam, but directly fire, you cannot experience. The water can be hot because it is now with the water. Am I making headway? Yes. Okay. From water comes earth. Earth. You can smell. So now at the level of the nose, all 5 are involved. Right? These themselves have their respective deities, which we covered in the Tattvabodh class, which is not here the topic at the moment. We'll skip that. Etesham panchatattvanam. Of all these 5 Mahabhuta, the Samashti Sattvic, this was the Vyashti. that kept evolving. But the totality of the sattvic, the samashti sattvic amsha, that makes the mana, buddhi, ahankar, chitta, what is called as the antakarana sambhutam. From the samashti sattvic of the elements, all the elements, that gives you the antakaranam. What is that? Mana, buddhi, chit, ahankar. So, from Maya came space, air, fire, water, earth. The sattvic element of each of them, all of them together, I should add samashti here. Samashti sattvic element gives mano, buddhi, chit, ahankar. And what is mano, buddhi, chit, ahankar? Sankalpa vikalpatmakaha manaha. Mind is that which does uha paha, karu, nahi karu, indecisiveness, feelings, uncertainties, unresolved state of mind. It's very beautiful if you see why the word sankalp is used. जब आप कोई संकल्प करते हो, normally the word sankalp is used with religious functions, religious rites. आप संकल्प ले लीजिए. What is sankalp actually? Sankalp is a state of निश्चयात्मिका बुद्धि. संकल्प उसी को कहते हैं. जब निश्चय हो जाए, तो your state of antakaranam is very different. We all know that, no? And when we were growing up as children, from 6th to 8th standard, my parents had given me a deadline. Start figuring out what you want to do in life. Because you had to choose, I think, now I've forgotten, was it something like this? Whenever you have to choose your subjects. Before that, they gave me 2-3 years. बैठ के सोचो क्या क्या करना है, whatever you want. And when you were doing that sankalpa vikalpa, ये करूं कि ये करूं, ये बनूं कि वो बनूं, should I be a doctor, should I be this, should I be that, no, let me become a nurse. From nurse to, I don't know, from nurse to modeling to becoming a space traveling in, सभी कुछ कर लिया होगा मैंने 2-3 साल में. Every possibility that I could have thought of. Everything, including becoming a poet and an artist, everything that I could think, if I had even a strain of thought कि मुझे ये अच्छा लगता है करना या मुझे वो अच्छा लगता है करना, everything was coded, decoded. ये करूं कि ये करूं, where do I see myself in the future? Sankalpa vikalpa. Within those years, nothing is decided. It's still going. ये भी हो सकता है, वो भी हो सकता है, ये भी. The state of mind slowly starts becoming restless. Has anybody noticed that? When there are something that is becoming a decision that needs to be taken and you do not take a decision, then your mind starts to slowly, you start experiencing restlessness, agitation, certain sense of कुछ incomplete सा बढ़ने लगता है. That is mind now. How does that settle down? Nishchayatmika buddhi. When you take a firm decision, the firmness of sankalpa, vikalpa. Vikalp means this or that, anything. Nishchaya means now this or that, only one thing. The minute you take this decision, what happened? From becoming air hostess to this and that and that and that and everything dissolved away. It became Nishchayatmika. Now suddenly there was a clarity and direction. Because now there is only one thing you can do. There's only one thing you can do means now you can only move in that you start automatically, your man becomes shant. That is buddhi. Ahankarta ahankaraha. Ye to we all know. Aham, मैं. To every thought of ours, what unites us is my aham karta. That I keep having the perception of myself as this limited being. And when I become very assertive of this is my ahankar that is associated with the aham. That is a part of my antakaranam itself. Where does this antakaranam come from? The sukshma mahabhut ke sattvic amsha. So mano buddhi chitta ahankar is predominantly sattvic by its swabhav, by its evolution. Last is chintan kartri chitta. Chintan karna is not worrying. Chintan karna is deeply reflecting, recalling, memory based, and it goes fairly deep. You can go hit into your deepest subtle body and remember certain things, certain smells, and childhood, etc. Or it can go even back. For yogis, it can go backwards also, etc. So memory based. This is your chittam. Is that okay so far? This is where your antakaranam has evolved from. Fundamentally, what? Okay, I forgot. So basically, same thing. All the gods of the same. Let's get that. Yeah. Now, from the Rajasic element, we finished the Sattvic element. Everybody okay? सत्वा खत्म हो गया महाभूत का हो गया ना नहीं हुआ कि नहीं हुआ खत्म हो गया yes yeah so we have finished the sattvic element and now we come to the rajasic element so what is the rajasic element of the mahabhuts etesham panchatattvanam madhye akashasya rajasamshat vak indriya sambhutam from the rajasic element comes your speech of the maha elements. From Vayu ka rajasic elements comes Pani, hands. From fire, the rajasic element of the Mahabhut comes the Pada, means your Indriya to your feet, your Indriya to move, basically. Jalasya rajasamshat upasthendriyam. The process of regeneration. Then Prithvi Rajasamsha Gudendriya, process of evacuation. This is your microcosmic. From the Samashti Rajasamshat of the Pancha Mahabhut, the totality, comes the Pancha Pranas. These Pancha Pranas are Pana, Apana, Samana, Vyana, Udana. I don't know if no, not written. Okay. So this is the same description. Yeah. And now comes the tamasic element. From the tamasic element of the Mahasambhut, ekam ekam bhutam dvividha vibhajya. It is the tamasic element which is actually going through the process of grossification. When we say grossification means all these so far were instruments getting ready to give us the experience of the object. The Indriya is still not experiencing till we have the object. The object of experience comes from the tamasic, and each of these elements, as we explained in the last class, divides itself into two ekam ekam bhutam dvividha. They become divide, vibhajya, into twofold, and ekam ardham prithak. Each of these again then further keeps dividing, and the half that has got separated and tushnim vyavasthapya aparam paramadharmam chaturdha vibhajya swadharmanyeshu ardheshu swabhaga chatushtaya sanyojanam karyam. So it starts to divide each of them into four parts. I think we did that. Yes. The subtle space has divided into two, and each of these further divides. The second part divides into four, and then they start to merge with each other. The other half merges with each part, and whatever is the predominant, that becomes your organ, which is now holding the indriya to contact its object, the subtle element. That is why in Gita it says, Guna Guneshu Vartante. If someone remembers and understands the context, it gets deeper there. Guna Guneshu Vartante. These sense experiences are all Sattva, Rajas, Tamas evolved into giving us this Sthula Sukshma Shariram. This Sthula Sukshma Shariram, once it has gone through this Panchikaranam, that Panchikaranam is this gross body of yours, which you have a uniqueness because of your acquired past karma. That Sukshma Shariram is now giving you the Bhoga Ayatanam, the Sthan for Bhoga, and in this manner, Panchikaranam Bhavati, Etebhyaha Panchikrit Panchamahabhutebhya Sthula Shariram Bhavati. How did you get the gross body? From the elements, tamasic element, which has gone through the grossification process, has formed this gross elemental world that we can now contact completely. So what happens when we die? When we die, this Sthula Sharira, made up of the grossified elements, goes back to their own respective elements. The space goes back to the space, the of the gross body, etc. And your Antakaranam resolves back into its Karan Sharir. Karan Sharir resolves back. And in this way, Sthula Shariram Abhimani. Who is the one who is the Jiva? Jiva Namakam. He is called Jiva. कौन है जीव? जो स्थूल शरीर का अभिमानी है. मैं ये हूं. I am this. जो अभिमान कर रहा है स्थूल शरीर का, वो ही जीव है. उसको कहते हैं जीव. जीव नामकम is called Jiva. It's a beautiful explanation. Sharir Abhimani, the one who has Abhiman on the Sharir, I am this, उसी को जीव कहते हैं. That जीव, क्या है वो जीव? Remember the white arrow that was going as the substratum? Brahma Pratibhimbam Bhavati. ये जीव ब्रह्म का ही प्रतिबिंब है. Is a reflection. उसी का प्रतिबिंब है. स एव जीवः प्रकृत्या स्वस्मात् ईश्वरं भिन्नत्वेन जानाति. In this manner, the jiva who experiences his own self experiences also the separation from Ishvara. वो जानता है अपने आप को ईश्वर से भिन्न. But है कौन वो? प्रतिबिंब of Brahman. But अपने को even ईश्वर से भिन्न मानता है. क्यों मानता है? अविद्या उपाधि सन. Because avidya is the upadhi. As long as avidya is the upadhi, this Atma is Jiva Uchyate. This Brahman, which is Atma here, reflecting through this body, even now, इसी को जीव कह रहे हैं. Is this clear? It cannot get more explicit, I think. The book really explains it very well. Clear? Everybody? Good. I have to see thumbs up. Rituji, thumbs up. Good. Okay. Yeah. So, avidya upadhi san atma jiva uchya. Very good, Divya. Jiva uchyate. Maya upadhi san. Now, who is Ishwar? जीव ने तो अपने आप को ईश्वर से भिन्न समझा है. ईश्वर कौन है? वो उसकी सिर्फ उपाधि माया है. That's why those gods, when you brought them together, Maya plus Sattva Rajas Tamas is equal to Ishwar. Ishwar is Maya Upadhi. Evam Upadhi Bhedat only. There is only an Upadhi Bhedam. Jiva Ishwara Bheda Drishti. यावत पर्यंतम तिष्ठति. जब तक रहती है यह जीव ईश्वर की भेद की दृष्टि, तब तक. तावत पर्यंतम. तब तक. I'm going to repeat this. This is extremely important to capture. यावत पर्यंतम तिष्ठति. जब तक रहती है. यावत means जब तक. As long as. पर्यंतम means up to that point. जब तक, up to which तिष्ठति रहती है. क्या रहती है? जीव और ईश्वर की भेद की दृष्टि रहती है. As long as the Jiva Ishvara Bheda remains in one's perception, तावत तावत् पर्यंतम, तब तक, अप टू देन, जन्म मरणादि रूप संसारः न निवर्तते. This janma marana adi sansara, in the form of samsara, does not resolve. Nivartate means does not dissolve, does not resolve, which means remains. कब तक रहता है संसार? जब तक जीव ईश्वर भेद दृष्टि रहती है, तब तक संसार रहता है. और जीव ईश्वर भेद दृष्टि सिर्फ उपाधि भेदात है. इट इज नॉट एन एक्चुअल भेद. बोथ आर ब्रह्मन. We saw that Brahman is going as a substratum, background is Brahman, everything is Brahman. जब तक ये दिख नहीं रहा है और भेद दिख रहा है, तब तक संसार न निवर्तन्ते, संसार की निवृत्ति नहीं होती. तस्मात् कारणात्, because of this reason that the samsar will not resolve, this Shastra said, Tattvabodh gave an advice to the students of this text. Na jiveshwarayoho bheda buddhi swikarya. Swikar mat karo. Do not accept this jiva bheda buddhi. So what happens through all the upasanas and all that? If you technically understand the upasana, in every upasana, it always comes and ends as this Brahman is here. That is why all the Sharir upasana, Ahangraha upasana, etc., etc., it's a reminder to say that वो भगवान जो हमें आज बाहर कहीं वैकुंठ में, कैलाश में, कहीं पे हम उसका स्थान बना देते हैं. Unless until I see that there is Brahman here, मेरी इंद्रियों को एक्टिवेट जो कर रहा है वो भी ब्रह्मन है. What is activating my speech is Brahman. What is activating my sight is Brahman. What is activating my hearing is Brahman. This is entirely Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmana Hutam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavya, Brahmana Karma Samadhina. All of this is only happening in the evolution of Maya. माइक साइकिल है ये, जो है ही नहीं. रिमेंबर द वर्ड माया, जो है ही नहीं, जो हो ही नहीं रहा. एंड दैट इज व्हाई इन आत्मबोध ही सेड इट्स स्वप्न तुल्यवत. Like in a dream, the whole thing is experienced. Why has all this come about? He says that is only because you have to experience your own past sanchit karmas, and now this was just for the sake of, if you see the Pratibimbam, it's another example of what we took last class. There is a Pratibimb here of light reflected in a mirror. Tracing the light source. I can't see the source, but I can see the mirror bright. If I can trace the light source, कहाँ है ये, कहाँ से आ रहा है, इसके अंदर दिख रहा है मिरर में. अभी तो हमको उपाधिवत दिख रहा है, अभी वो मिरर के अंदर दिख रहा है. I'm seeing the mirror as bright. I'm seeing the mirror as lit up. So I think it is here. Ask a child. You must have seen, all of us, we must have experienced, when the first time you see a mirror yourself in front, you see your own image in front, or when a cat or a dog sees their own image in front of a mirror. You remember the confusion that comes to you? पहली बार जब देखते हो, किसी को याद है ना, या किसी को देखा होगा आपने, तो पहली बार आप अपना चेहरा देखते हो मिरर के अंदर, it is absolutely amazing. By now, as we are adults, आदत पड़ गई है, we don't even feel the difference. But the first time you see yourself in the mirror, you are amazed. Who is this? कौन है ये? You are tracing the image in the mirror to yourself. In the puddle, when a child sees, some people get so scared of seeing their own shadow, children. When they see their own shadow falling on the ground, if you see, and that shadow, if it's coming in a way that it gets lengthened, the shadow gets lengthened. जहां जहां वो बच्चा हिल रहा है, वो shadow भी हिल रहा है, वो डर जाता है बच्चा. अपने ही shadow को देख के डर रहा है. Anybody knows, must have experienced, ये तो बड़ी कॉमन सेंस की बात है ना? अपने ही शैडो से डर रहा है। अब वो क्या देख रहा है? वो भेद देख रहा है। वो नहीं समझ पा रहा है कि ये शैडो मैं ही हूं। लेकिन वो डर रहा है उस शैडो से, क्योंकि उसके अंदर भेद बुद्धि है अभी। वो एकत्व का ज्ञान, ये मैं हूं। द मिनट दैट एकत्व का ज्ञान है, वो द एंजॉयज। संसार बिकम्स अ प्लेग्राउंड। It becomes it is actually a playground when he starts seeing that ये तो मैं ही हूं। But till then, that image is scary. So when you are able to trace that back to its source, if I am able to trace this expression of life here in me now back to its source, कहां से आ रहा है ये प्राण की वृत्ति कहां से हो रही है? Who is that? Is Kenopanishad in the real sense. This is Vedanta. There's nothing else called Vedanta. बाकी सब is only foundations और preparations ना। जो बहुत दूर बैठा है कहीं पे और कुछ पुण्य से आ गया है तो ठीक है, थोड़ा प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट कर लो वेदांत के, थोड़े ये कर लो, फंडामेंटली वेदांत शब्द कान में रहेगा तुम्हारे, धीरे धीरे धीरे। दिस इज वेदांत। अरे, माय प्राण आर ऑपरेटिंग, कौन चला रहा है? Who's digesting the food in my stomach? Who's giving me uh, the capacity to breathe? Who's designed this body? That is my greatest fascination. अरे, इतना प्रिसिशन से कैसे कोई करता है? How is it possible? Imagine when we make robots, we have all crazy angles in them. अभी next one आएगा, I think. Who is a jiva? When a jiva starts the inquiry, who is a jiva? जब वो उसको शैडो को वो अपने को ट्रेस कर रहा है, जब वो अपनी नाउ बी अटेंटिव, नाउ the life that I am living, processing, the life that I'm exhibiting, the life that I am expressing as Chaitanyam, when I am able to trace this life back to its source, वो जीवन मुक्त है। ये जो मेरे कान सुन रहे हैं, ये किसकी शक्ति से सुन रहे हैं? Who's empowering them? It's not me. That much I think we all know. Am I hearing? I am hearing. But am I making the process of hearing? No. तो कोई तो कर रहा होगा for me to hear. ये कौन कर रहा है? ये कैसे हो रहा है? What is that which is enabling this? That is the question Kena Upanishad asked. What is that? वो पूछता भी ऐसे ही है. What is that? Because पता ही नहीं उसको आप कहो क्या. You have to call it that. You don't know what it is. So he says that is a jiva, and this panchikaranam. Vidyaranya Swami has given this verse. I'm just giving it for the sake of whoever wants to complete further. Dvivida vidhaya cha aikai ekaikam chaturtha prathamam punaha swa swa itara dvitiyam shaihi yojanat pancha panchate. And don't worry, it's the same process. Panchikrit. Now you'll understand the verse, 12th verse. Panchikrit Mahabhuta Sambhavam. Through the process of Panchikaranam of the Maha elements. Karma Sanchitam, because of our own acquired past Sanchit karmas that we have to experience in the present manifestation of a punya and पाप and सुख and दुख जो वो उसको आना ही आना है, उसके लिए ये शरीर भोग का एक मीन्स बनता है। जो भोग का वो मीन्स बनता है बिकॉज ऑफ द पंचीकरणम इज कॉल्ड शरीरम. दैट इज द ग्रॉस बॉडी. And this is what we saw in the last class. This was a little more. And I think that is it. Is that okay? I think, yeah, is that fine? All right, all right, all right. Okay, all right. So we will conclude here with this. The next two verses are also actually the same. I think let's just quickly go through. It's the same process being explained. And you will now be able to understand it in this slide because the 12th verse finished. 13th verse is Pancha Prana Mano Buddhi. Dasha Indriya Samanvitam. The 10 Indriyas we saw, Mano Buddhi we saw, the Pancha Prana we saw. Did we see the Pancha Prana? I can't see you people. I think we covered the Pancha Prana, didn't we? We did. I remember seeing Pranapan. Okay. Apanchikrit Bhuta Mahabhuta. Those subtle elements is called Apanchikrit. The Panchikarnam has only happened with the tamasic element, tamasic guna of the Maha elements. The rest, samashti, subtle elements, which are not yet undergone the process of Panchikarnam, they are making the Sukshma Angam, which is a Sukshma Sharir, which becomes a Bhoga Sadhanam. That is where you are experiencing your Sukh and Dukh. And then Anadi Avidya, Anirvachya. This Avidya was the cause, the Upadhi for Jiva Buddhi. This Avidya is Anirvachya. Just as Maya is Anirvachya, you cannot know. You cannot call it hai, you cannot call it nahi hai. It cannot be described. Vachya is जो कहा जा सकता है. Anirvachya means जो describe ही नहीं किया जा सकता. This avidya is anadi. Anadi means you cannot say when it started. That anadi avidya is the karan upadhi. As long as there is this karan upadhi, avidya jab tak hai, tab tak you will have the samsara, you will have the jiva bhav, etc. that we have just concluded. Upadhi trityat, these three upadhis, unse bhinna. What are the three upadhis? Sthula, Sukshma, Karana upadhi. Sharira, the three upadhis. Anyat, usse alag. Atmanam avadharayet. When you know yourself as Atma, avadharayet, know yourself as free of the three upadhis. That Brahman running as the white arrow down, it's very fantastic when you magnify that vision. That substratum which is running through, and Maya is the only one that is evolving and changing, and that will keep on happening as long as there is a Jiva Buddhi. And as long as there is a Jiva Buddhi, karmas done with Jiva Buddhi are giving us accumulation of our own karma phal, etc. And जब तक ये साइकिल में हम इससे भिन्न अपने आप को नहीं देख रहे, till I am able to trace the source of the adhishthan. When I know the adhishthan, avidya is destroyed. And when avidya is destroyed, the upadhi traya is destroyed. The medium in which that is reflecting. Now, supposing I break that mirror, jahan mujhe aaj light dikh rahi hai. If I break the mirror, now light is everywhere. You get that? In the slides, I showed the image. Tracing the light. Now, if you break that mirror, उपाधि है ना वो मिरर, उसमें दिख रही है अभी लाइट. What am my inquiry supposed to be? Trace it. Is it here? वाकई में इस मिरर के अंदर है क्या? Trace the shadow. वाकई में ये shadow मुझसे कहाँ से आ रहा है ये shadow? When you trace it back to yourself, the upadhi is destroyed. And once the upadhi is destroyed, there is no limitation now. Upadhi चली गई. So, Atma was never upadhi-baddh. Atma is nirupadhi. So, panchakoshadi yogena tat तन्मय इव स्थितः शुद्धात्मा नीलवस्त्रादियोगेन स्फटिको यथा. This we'll cover in the next class. Okay, we'll end the class here. Om. सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः. गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः. पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी. देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः. ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.